Have you ever walked past one of London's iconic red telephone boxes and wondered about its design? They're more than just a pretty piece of British heritage. They're a masterclass in clever and slightly bizarre engineering. Today, we're diving deep into the secret history of the K2, the original red telephone box, and uncovering the strange, hidden purpose behind its ventilation system. It all starts back in the 1920s. The General Post Office, which ran the telephone network back then, decided Britain needed a standardized public kiosk. They held a competition, and the winner was Sir Giles Gilbert Scott. His design, known as the K2, is the classic we all recognize. It was grand, made of solid cast iron, and painted in that famous, vibrant red, not to be missed in the London fog. But Scott was more than just an artist. He was a meticulous architect who thought about every single detail. He knew these boxes would be used by thousands of people every day. And in the 1920s, public hygiene was a massive concern. People were terrified of spreading germs, especially things like tuberculosis. So, how do you keep a tiny, enclosed public space clean and safe for everyone? This is where the genius and the weirdness comes in. Scott designed the K2 to be, essentially, self-disinfecting, and his secret weapon, the very air people breathed out. Let's look closer at the design. At the top of the K2, you'll see a domed roof with distinctive, perforated patterns right underneath it. These aren't just for decoration, they are vents, but they're part of a much larger, very clever system. Inside the box, the air would get warm from people's body heat and breath. We all know warm air rises, so this warm, potentially germ-filled air would travel upwards, right towards those vents in the ceiling. Now, here's the crazy part. The dome itself was designed to act as a sort of collection chamber. But Scott needed a way to neutralize the germs. His solution was brilliantly simple and relied on a common household product of the era: disinfectant. Specifically, a potent, carbolic acid-based disinfectant. Hidden within the roof structure of the original K2 telephone boxes was a small, concealed container. This container held a block of solid disinfectant. As the warm air rose and passed through the ventilation system, it would flow over this disinfectant block. The airflow would cause the disinfectant to slowly vaporize, releasing antiseptic fumes into the air inside the kiosk. So, every time someone used the phone, their own breath and body heat would power a system that automatically released disinfectant into the box. It was a continuous, passive fumigation system. The idea was that the lingering smell of disinfectant would not only kill germs, but also reassure the public that the telephone box was a clean and sanitary place. You weren't just stepping into a phone booth, you were stepping into a freshly disinfected space. Think about that for a second. The design literally used the presence of a person to trigger its own cleaning cycle. It's an incredible example of passive design, using natural principles to solve a very real public health problem. No electricity, no moving parts, just clever architecture and a bit of basic chemistry. But why don't we notice this today? Well, as public health standards changed and the fear of airborne pathogens from public phones lessened, this feature was gradually phased out. Maintaining these disinfectant blocks across thousands of kiosks was a logistical challenge. Newer models, like the more common K6, simplified the design. While they still had ventilation, the sophisticated self-disinfecting mechanism was abandoned in favor of simpler, more cost-effective manufacturing. Also, the powerful, almost hospital-like smell of carbolic acid disinfectant eventually fell out of public favor. People started associating it with sickness rather than cleanliness. So, The very thing that was meant to be reassuring became a little off-putting. Today, most of the remaining K2 boxes have been refurbished or repurposed. They are listed buildings, protected for their historical and cultural significance. Some have been turned into mini libraries, coffee shops, or even defibrillator stations. The original disinfectant systems are long gone, relics of a bygone era, but the story remains. It's a testament to a time when public infrastructure was designed with incredible attention to detail and a deep understanding of the public's anxieties. Sir Giles Gilbert Scott wasn't just designing a box for a telephone. He was designing a miniature self-cleaning sanctuary for public communication. So, the next time you see one of those beautiful red telephone boxes standing proudly on a London street, take a closer look at the domed roof and the vents just below it. Remember that you're not just looking at a phone booth. You're looking at a piece of history, a clever invention, and a slightly bizarre public health machine, all rolled into one. It's a silent, forgotten feature that tells a fascinating story about the ingenuity of the past. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into one of London's best-kept secrets. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more hidden histories. See you in the next one.